Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm John Hartledge. Today we're going to talk about Merlot. Yes, the much maligned grape that has actually produced some of the most fabulous wines in the world for the last 100 years. Without further ado, let's chat wine. So around 2004, Merlot sales in the US were soaring. Merlot was so popular, and there was an interesting issue happening in my experience with wine. That Merlot was so popular that it was being consumed very young. And Merlot really, just like Cabernet, needs a little bit of bottle time to mellow out and smooth out to really show its best. And interesting enough, around 2004, the movie Sideways came out. By 2005, and you had the nominations for all of the Academy Awards come out, everyone wanted to see the movie Sideways. A lot of people saw Sideways, particularly the wine aficionados and the wine crowd. And all of a sudden, Merlot sales by 2006, so this is 2 years from when I referenced, 2006 Merlot sales plummeted. Of course, Pinot Noir sales soared. That's a great thing, but it's really unfortunate that Merlot sales went down so far. An interesting fact about the movie, the Merlot and his distaste, Paul Giamatti's character, his distaste for Merlot really was more about his failed relationship with his ex-wife and his own, personal things. Had nothing to do with actual Merlot. The ironic thing, at the end of the movie, the very last bottle that he has in the hamburger joint in the paper cup is a Cheval Blanc. In this case, Cheval Blanc 1961. Cheval Blanc is a very famous Bordeaux winery known for being on the right side or the east side of Bordeaux, producing primarily Merlot. The grapes in their wines are usually Merlot and Cabernet Franc. If it were labeled in the U.S., let's put it this way. If you labeled that wine in the U.S., it would most likely be called Merlot. So that is the ironic thing about that movie, that you really lost in translation, and all people heard was Merlot is terrible. I'm going to open this wine, and it's also Merlot from Columbia Valley, Washington State. Not your typical area for Merlot, but a fabulous region for Merlot. Again, coming off Seattle and going east, you got the huge mountain range, which keeps all that rain from Seattle from going over to the Columbia Valley. Columbia Valley, dry as a desert. Excellent for red wine. This wine kicks about 14.5% alcohol by volume, so it's going to be a Merlot that's, I think, going to deliver some really nice fleshy fruit and good body. So let's get this bottle open. Again, notice I'm just going to pull that whole capsule off. Again, like I've said in other episodes, the capsules used to be made of lead, so you'd never get cut. But now there can be a little plastic in them. There's some tin in the foil, and you're never quite sure if it's going to give you a bad paper cut. And sometimes they're hard to remove, so I just loosen it and take off the whole foil. It looks like we have a traditional cork here, so we're definitely going to give that the sniff test. But let's get that point in. Get that point in the cork right in the center, and then get your corkscrew parallel with the bottle, that same line, down there. We'll give it the peremptory lift, and then we take the end of the, there we go, and then we get the end of the corkscrew. Pull it out, nice and gentle, and let's give a little sniff to the cork. It smells nice. I smell a little bit of wine smell, which is good. There's nothing funky on the on that aromatic. I got 2 glasses here because I want to try one without decanting, and I'm going to aerate one with my little Venturi aerator. So let's get a little of that in the glass. And it smells like it's very smooth. I don't know if it's going to be that hot. This is a high alcohol level, like I said, at 14.5% ABV. Alcohol by volume. Wow, that's a really nice glass of red wine. Columbia Crest Winery, a long time a subsidiary of Chateau Ste. Michelle, famous Chateau Ste. Michelle, has now become a portfolio of a plethora of small vineyards. They've allowed all of those small vineyard owners to operate their vineyards as they have for years, but really providing kind of a funding backdrop and support for them, because sometimes you can really be subject to terrible weather conditions, fires, anything that could happen that could ruin part or all of your stock. So it's a real risk. in winemaking. So it's a fabulous thing what St. Michel is doing, especially since they're not taking over all the small productions. They're actually letting these vineyards operate. Well, Columbia Crest has long been part of that, and they've always been known for really nice Merlots, and I think excellent. But I did say I do want to try this with a little bit of aeration. So we'll go ahead and try one aerated too. Because Bernoulli's principle. Oh, hear that. Wow, hear that. You got to hear that one more time without me talking. So that's the Bernoulli's principle, the act of the wine actually pouring through that tube. There's two little tubes that are cut horizontally into that, and there's actually the act of this pouring down here draws air in right into the wine, so you really truly aerate as you're pouring. A little softer on the nose. Interesting. Even more of that classic kind of plummy, fleshy. It's weird. Merlot has this beautiful texture of almost velvet. And I always think of silk, velvet and silk. It's just a really cool textural experience. And very smooth, very soft. It's had enough time in the bottle to really express that fleshy fruit of Merlot. And I think a smoothness that you only can get from Merlot. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Let's Chat Wine. Any wines I mention are detailed in the description below. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell. That way you don't miss any new episodes. Come and join me again, and let's chat wine.